Chapter 16, A Morning in the Dark. The university school was built around a central courtyard. Gracie Hall, now the lower school, had been built in 1903 as a home for John Dewey's radical new school. Forming the west side of the quadrangle, King Hall had been built almost 30 years later for the University of Chicago's education department. The idea was to be able to observe what was going on in Dewey's now famous laboratory. A new middle school building, built in 1990, was on the east side, and the high school, built in 1960, on the north. Poppyfield Hall, tucked behind the high school, dated back to 1904 and had music and art rooms. The following morning, Calder and Petra sat down on the bench in Gracie Hall lobby. They were facing a stone fireplace that had a bust of Francis Parker on the mantel. Parker, a colleague of John Dewey's, had a university-high baseball cap on and a red scarf around his neck. The painting is small, remember? The canvas is only about a foot by a foot and a half. Calder was fiddling with his pentominoes. Think! Hundreds of kids and grown-ups go in and out of the building all day. There are cleaning people in here at night. What's a place that no one would disturb? Calder pulled out a pentomino out of his pocket and looked at it. They both stared at T in Calder's palm. T for 12. Aren't there 12 floors? I don't get it. Calder shrugged. Petra sat straight up, her knees cupped in her hands. Let's try to think like Miss Hussey. She'd find a place with no leaks or mice or anything. Calder was scraping the tea back and forth on the wooden bench. 12. Does Miss Hussey have 12 of anything? She wears those earrings. There's a key, a pearl, a high-heeled shoe. Calder was muttering now. Key, pearl, shoe, pearl, key, shoe, pearl, shoe, key, heel, key, pearl, heel. Hey, that sounds like keep her here, doesn't it? Petra laughed. Now you've got me thinking like a pentomino. Maybe this means she's in Gracie Hall. Calder, in his excitement, gave Petra a quick bear hug. Good thinking, he said. Straightening her glasses, she tried not to look too pleased. He and Petra agreed that they should pretend to make a master map of the school. This would give them an excuse to poke around during lunch. None of their classes, aside from their own, would know that it wasn't an assignment. At lunchtime, armed with measuring tape, clipboards, and pencils, they covered the first floor, checking even unlikely places. They looked in storage closets, behind file cabinets, under the beds, in the nurse's office, inside old paper towel dispensers, in the bathroom, around the coat rack, in the director's bedroom, and beneath hats and mittens in the lost and found. On day 2, they covered the second floor, although it was hard to be thorough. Most of the classrooms had 100-year-old built-in cupboards and drawers and bookshelves, and it was awkward explaining why they had to look into those to measure the room. Calder had gotten bitten by a hamster in the science room. Petra had gotten bitten by a hamster, and in the science room, Calder had accidentally allowed a box of hissing cockroaches to escape down a heating grate. Petra dropped a hunk of limestone being examined by fourth-grade geologists on her toe, and Calder got a third-grade teacher angry by trying to look behind her bulletin board and knocking off some drawings of the Great Chicago Fire. They had worked their way through Gracie Hall except for the basement, which was locked. They decided to talk to Mrs. Strack, the lower school principal, about letting them in. Always enthusiastic about kids' projects, she could be counted on to help. They explained about the map, and she agreed to take them down there the next day. That defeats the whole purpose. Calder was digging into his locker for his math book. He didn't realize that Petra had walked ahead. A voice behind him said, "Talking to yourself? Where's your girlfriend?" It was Denise. Calder felt his face get hot and slammed his locker door. Someone ought to hide her somewhere permanently.